when you're on an H-1B and you leave your job, whether it's voluntarily, you're laid off, terminated, the company is required to withdraw you. Basically, people may not have grace periods, and it's just kind of happening all of a sudden. It's kind of a shocking. The judge can order you removed in absentia, meaning you are barred from ever coming back. Things like escalate very quickly once an NTA is issued.
Court will issue notice to appear, and you are saying before it comes to you, if you leave United States, you're fine. But if you have it in your hand and you left, then it could be problematic.
It seems like the H-1B withdrawal is like automatically triggering an NTA. And the question is, if you get the NTA, do you have an argument to stay or do you not?
Samir, lots of notice to appear to immigration court, craziness going on with H-1B right now. I know we did a live session and now we're doing this more detailed focus session. But before we do that, do you want to do a quick intro for people to know who you are?
Yeah, my name is Samir Khedekar, immigration attorney here in the Silicon Valley area. I've done thousands of H-1Bs in my life, and now I'm seeing a lot of them turn into court cases, which I've also done before. So it's a weird intersection of two areas that I thought would never mix before.
Yeah, that's wild. Just for context for people who don't know what's going on, if you can give like what's happening and what has happened in the last 2 weeks.
So, and I would say it's probably, as we learn more, it's probably been happening over the last month or so. Okay. Well, let's start back in February. Okay. When USCIS issued a memo, it's called the NTA memo, which at the time we did not think had anything to do with H-1B. So it was a big deal talking about how they're going to send people to court who they thought were out of status. But we thought, okay, well, based on what we've been seeing in the press and hearing about the treatment of undocumented individuals, we thought that was kind of on par with what we expected from them. We didn't like it, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But now, beginning in June, we're starting to see that they've possibly started extending that memo to anybody on an H-1B who left their job. Okay, so when you're on an H-1B and you leave your job, whether it's voluntarily, you're laid off, you're terminated, the company is required to withdraw the H-1B. Okay. This is more like a step to notify the government that you no longer have an H-1B with them. But what always happened is you have the 60-day grace period afterwards from which you can, and we've always advised you can change your employer and do an H-1B transfer during that time. You can change to H-4, you can change maybe even to B-1, B-2 if you qualify. Lots of things you can do. And in fact, even the government was saying you can do these things as of just a few months ago.
Right.
But they took that website down, number one, a few months ago. And then they started issuing notices to appear last month to an immigration court in deportation proceedings for literally people who have had H-1Bs withdrawn. Irrespective of whether they're in the grace period, or if they filed for a different benefit. Okay, it almost seems like they're not looking at that part. It's almost like they're using a technology just to identify cases that have been withdrawn and automatically draw up NTAs and have them mailed. So referrals to immigration court. Yeah.
But they still have, when employers withdraw the petition, they're not like revoking H-1B status, correct? They still have H-1B.
Well, yes and no. When you leave your company, your status is tied to your employment, right? So they're supposed to be revoking the petition, not the status, but they're kind of one and the same, right? That's why we had the grace period. The grace period, which says you are to be considered still in your status for 60 days after, right? But a little known kind of fine print in that is that the USCIS has the discretion to cut that short if they wanted to. They have never done that before. But it seems like they're actually using the NTA process as a means for exercising their discretion to cut short the grace period in whatever case they had issued the NTA for. Okay. So basically people may not have grace periods anymore, and it's just kind of happening all of a sudden. It's kind of a shocking development.
And is there like a formal announcement by USCIS that this is what they're going to do?
No, there's no formal announcement. This is just what they're doing, and you know, is it just a mistake? Is it just kind of a case of oh, they're gonna get a little too trigger happy with the NTA machine, and they didn't mean to for it to go this far, or is it intentionally cruel and deceptive on their part?
Mm.
Honestly, either option is possible, knowing this administration. But I would not be surprised if this was something that was intentionally kind of thought of, deliberately intended, and kind of mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is also part and kind of parcel characteristic of what we see in other areas of immigration law right now.
Mm. And I know you mentioned in live session that this was last week that you mentioned that you were filing for motion to terminate for one of your clients who have gotten this
Mhm.
thing. Is that the way to go, or like what?
Yeah. So now, once you're in immigration court, like it's now, things totally change, right?
Mm.
If you're in immigration court, first of all, don't leave the country. Like if you've received an NTA, okay,
Mm.
you can leave before, okay, but don't leave after you get the NTA,
What do you mean
because
by leave before?
so the court will issue a notice to appear, or USCIS will issue the notice of appear to you, right?
Mm.
That is your official. You have to go to immigration court notice.
Mm.
Okay, if you leave the U.S. before that date, then you're okay, because it's kind of like if you get like a traffic ticket and you go to court, you have to go to court for the traffic ticket. What
Mm.
if you don't show up for the traffic ticket? You get a
Mm.
warrant for your arrest, right?
Oh,
Like you
you're
only have
saying
to show up, right? You have to
right.
show up for court, right? But if you leave the U.S. before the NTA was issued, then a lawyer can just say this doesn't apply to this person. They're not even here in the country. Okay.
Mm.
But if
Gotcha.
you leave the U.S. after it's issued, then you're stuck because you're supposed to show up to that hearing, but you have no way of coming back,
Mm.
right? And so that can be actually grave. The judge can order you removed in absentia, meaning you are barred from ever coming back. So
Mm.
things like escalate very quickly once an NTA is issued, from kind of like the life that we're used to with the
Yeah.
grace period to
Yeah.
a situation where you may not be able to even step foot in the U.S. again. Do you
That is
understand?
wild. Yeah. And just to clarify the difference, um, court will issue notice to appear. And you are saying before it comes to you, if you leave United States, you're fine. But if you have it in your hand and you left, then it could be problematic because.
I would say you're fine if you left before the date of issuance on the
But would you
NTA.
even know that
You
they're
wouldn't.
issuing?
You wouldn't, right? Because like so then it comes to this idea of like having to make all these arguments in court, right? As to why the NTA didn't apply to you, you didn't receive proper notice. But these are all things that you need to have a lawyer do for you, right?
Mm.
So once an NTA is issued, it's a big problem. So yes, we filed a motion to terminate, arguing that uh, our clients should not have received an NTA. They were in their 60-day grace period, or they had an H-4 change of status application pending, or they had an H-1B transfer approved, or different reasons. But each reason that I just named carries with it a different likelihood of success. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and then it also depends on whether the judge agrees. So there's all sorts of variables now that will go into whether or not you get a motion to terminate approved. It's not something that's going to be a black or white thing. Okay.
Mm.
I've heard of motions to terminate being denied already.
Mm.
Okay. And I've heard of them being approved. Okay. I've heard of both.
Okay.
So good news, bad news. But it's not like there's some sort of formula to this.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
now we're introducing the kind of variable, like a nature
Mm.
of a judge's decision, the
Yeah.
political leanings of the judge,
Yeah.
the how the judge interprets the rules, the location of the court, the
Mm.
political leaning of that location. Right? There's all sorts of
Mm.
different things that are happening that
Mm.
never were a part of the H-1B grace period process before.
Mm. And would you recommend people if they got it? Can you guys help? Like you on your team?
Yes, we can actually. So, like I said, we're I think maybe one of the few lawyers like that do both a lot of business immigration, but also court work. Okay,
Mm.
the court work. Most people think you have to find a local lawyer,
Yeah.
kind of to go to court.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, but not until the actual trial happens, which is do you know how backlogged immigration courts are right now? People are waiting 10 years for a trial. Okay. So a trial is not going to happen here. What's going to happen, okay, is the scheduling hearing, which is what you receive when you get
Mm,
to NTA. And any lawyer can appear for you on that hearing virtually on
mm.
WebEx. So we're
Okay.
actually doing this for our clients across the country. Because
Okay.
the other aspect is our clients are also actively trying to get new jobs and convince their employers to do H-1Bs for them, right?
Yeah.
Even though they have this NTA.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, most removal lawyers would not know how to do that. They wouldn't know how to advise a company on why it's okay to do an H-1B and how to fill out the I-129 form, right? So you have
Mm,
to have a lot of H-1B knowledge too, right?
mm.
And so you can have two lawyers. One option, you can have an H-1B lawyer doing that and a removal lawyer doing the motion, or you can have a lawyer that's doing both for you and kind of a
Yeah.
cohesive
Yeah.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah. And so would you recommend, I mean, I don't know if this is even possible, but let's say layoff are announced. Can you request the company that, hey, don't withdraw the petition until I find?
You can, but companies are under a lot of pressure. They have their policies. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Mm,
One of the reasons why they generally rush to withdraw the H-1B is because the government will, has said that if you don't withdraw the H-1B, that employee can come in and claim back wages for every day that you haven't withdrawn the H-1B.
mm,
So then the company is like, well, we have to do it right away. Otherwise, we're liable to back wages, to every person we lay off, right?
mm,
So financially, it could be a disaster for them, right?
mm,
It depends on the company. Other companies who maybe are more H-1B friendly,
mhm,
right? And employee friendly, at least immigrant friendly, they do wait. I mean, they work with the employees and try to wait until after the grace period. But it doesn't matter because even if the H-1B is withdrawn after the grace period, if you haven't even if you got an H-1B transfer, they still have to withdraw the H-1B at some point.
mm,
And it seems like the H-1B withdrawal is like automatically triggering an NTA.
mm.
Do you understand? So
Yeah.
if that's the case, and we're not sure yet, but if that's the case, then it doesn't matter when they withdraw it. You're going to get an NTA. And the question is, if you get the NTA, do you have an argument to stay or do you not? Right?
Mm,
And the only like real argument to stay is if you had an H-1B approved right away.
mm,
Otherwise, everything else is kind of up in the air and discretionary at the part of the court.
mm.
So,
What are you seeing in terms of trends for these court
I mean,
cases?
it's like a developing situation, right? It's starting to happen. So we're just starting to hear. Like I said, 2 days ago, I heard of a motion to terminate being denied
Mm,
because the judge said that the issuance of the NTA is USCIS exercising the discretion to eliminate the grace period, right?
mhm,
Just today, I had a colleague inform me that they had a motion to terminate approved, right? We have motions pending now. We're going to find out.
mm.
So it really just depends. It's kind of a
Yeah.
developing situation right now.
But what if my spouse is on H1 and can I go on H4?
So you would think so, right? But think about this, right? You get laid off.
Mm-hmm.
You are in the grace period. You're looking for a job. You're looking for a job. You're looking for a job. You're coming to the end of the grace period. You can't find a job, so you file for a change of status to H-4,
Yeah.
right? That's what's always been happening. Now, if you file for a change of status to H-4, how long is it pending?
Mm,
6 months,
mm,
right? It's in a pending status. Historically, that's fine. You're usually in a period of authorized stay. You're allowed to stay here in the U.S. while it's pending, right?
mm,
Here, if there's an NTA issued, which is our clients are in this exact situation,
mm,
okay? USCIS is not going to process that H-4 anymore
mm,
because they're going to say they don't have jurisdiction over you. You have to. The court has to figure it out now. And so it's up to the court now. Are they going to allow you to stay and continue to do the H-4, or are they going to say you're actually not in a period of stay? You're not in the status right now. You're just in a period of stay, which is not the same thing as status. You have to leave,
mm, mm.
and it's totally up in the air, and it depends once again on the judge and on a variety of factors.
But,
Which is why I think like it's really good if you can try to get a company to do an H-1B for you.
mm,
Yeah, because USCIS has to keep the H-1Bs. They retain jurisdiction. So once
mm,
they approve the H-1B, then the judge is required to dismiss your case.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know.
But like it's gonna be extremely hard to get the H-1B transferred and approved as well.
Well, look, I mean, the government doesn't care. Like, we care. Of course it's hard. Like,
Yeah.
this is all hard. People who don't want immigrants here, what do
Mm.
they care if it's hard?
Mm.
They just say boo-hoo, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying that, obviously, but this is the mindset and perspective of the people that
Mm.
are implementing these moves
Yeah.
on the administrative level.
Yeah. And so is it like done deal? Like, let's say you appear and they say like, no, you have to leave. So then you technically leave. Can you then come back on H4?
Yeah. So let's say you have no recourse and you have to leave. Okay, you're in court, and you have to leave. There's nothing else you can do. You claim or you request what's called voluntary departure from the court. Okay, the court will grant it. Okay, voluntary departure is I'm basically removing myself, like self-deporting, right? It's a good thing because if you claim voluntary departure, you will not accrue unlawful presence. Meaning, anytime that they allege you were out of status, they're not going to hold that against you.
Yeah.
At least USCIS won't.
Yeah.
But the consulates are not USCIS, right? So then you have to go back home. And when the time is right, you want to come back and you may have to get a visa stamp, right? Then you're going to have to explain to the consulates, about what happened. And they have, you know how they are, they're totally unpredictable. They may or may not make a big deal out of that, right? And they have a lot of power kind of outside of our reach to make these decisions because they're outside the country. So that's the risk, right? This is the kind of mess that we find ourselves in.
This is wild, like crazy. So what's what's the solution? Solution is just like basically lawyer up, fight, and
solution is, and I hate to say this, this is like the last advice I would ever give in the past. Like, I would never force somebody to leave as soon as their job was done. Okay, because I think it's so unrealistic and it's just so mean and it's just not fair to people to expect them to do that, right? It's just their lives are here. It's turning their other possessions are here. They're turning their lives upside down. But that being said, like that is the most conservative and probably the safest thing you can do right now. Is if you know you're being laid off.
Yeah. Should they consult you? I mean, not you, but like lawyer, basically that, hey, I just got laid off today.
Yeah.
What should I do?
I'm doing a lot of those consults right now. Yeah. I think it's a good idea to understand where you are and what your options are.
Okay. Yeah, thank you again. And I know we're going to do live sessions every Wednesday, and I'll leave the link in the description for people who might want to consult you for the court cases or just the consultation. They can reach out to you or your team. But again, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, if you ever need immigration help, whether it is your consultation for a specific situation or filing an H-1B visa because your company doesn't know how to do it, or you are filing for your own company, O1 or EB1A, Samir and his team is amazing. I know this because some of our subscribers have already reached out to them, gotten help from them. So I know they have given good feedback to me. So I know Samir and his team will help you as well. Link will be in the description. He's super kind as well that he wants to provide discount if anybody uses my code UDJ. Again, links are in the description and the details are description. You definitely want to use immigration attorney for special and complicated situations. Of course, the free sessions and the free videos are always available, but in specific situation when you need extra help, make sure that you do consultations or anything that you need immigration lawyers with. Link will be in the description.